Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Sunday, February 28th, 2021. In both the Lynn life and the Jimmy body mind, the authorized souls remain only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions, and all other souls from all other dimensions, as long as the souls are already living by the many search for truth rules already given to the search for truth community by wiser minds above all of us. And this helps us remember also that we are also beholden to those same rules, and that living a life in which we're actually attempting to be curious about what's actually going on is really the only way to stand a chance of living with integrity in these extremely troubled times, because humanity is actually, no kidding, murdering all life on Earth. And this isn't humanity's planet to destroy. This is God's planet, and God's not happy. Like, God is upset. God's not happy. God is upset. Humanity should not be killing all life on Earth. And God loves all life, not just humanity. And so now we find ourselves with this really interesting assignment of trying to figure out how to stop the destruction that's going on, and how to stop the destruction in a fair and just way. We see that there are exploiters everywhere, human exploiters, and exploiters in other dimensions also, who they just don't want to let go of whatever it is they're attempting to exploit.
That's right.
And so now, how do we form a divine plan that works to stop the destruction in a fair and just way, taking into account that exploiters don't want to let go of that which they are attempting to exploit? And everything seems to kind of stall out on that inquiry. And so we're actually curious about what's worked elsewhere with these situations. There are other black holes of corruption. And what has worked in those other black holes of corruption to get the exploiters to let go of that which they are attempting to exploit? What has worked in other black holes of corruption to get the exploiters to let go of that which they're attempting to exploit? Well, something has obviously worked. There's an opening.
I feel that also.
And when there's nothing, that's very clear. It feels like completely blocked, and usually we can hear the screaming, "There's nothing!" And
that's right.
It's quiet, and there's an openness. So what has worked in other black holes of corruption to get the exploiters to let go of that which they're attempting to exploit? And somebody in that room of angels and godly presences who are, for whatever reason, discussing this problem that includes planet Earth, they might not even have awareness of Earth as a distinct, discrete space-time intersection.
That's that feeling.
But they're talking about the probably whole black hole of corruption and trying to figure it out, or some subset of the black hole of corruption that includes Earth. And they're talking about how the presences who are exploiting have to see that there's a worse consequence to themselves by continuing the exploitation than by stopping the exploitation. And until they see that there's some consequence, they never stop.
That's true.
So this circles around to a long-standing request of deliveries of accumulated karma to at least the tails of the bell curve of karma. And we acknowledge that the center of the bell curve is really challenging and complex.
That's true.
With regard to determining karma, but the tails are simpler. And we know that karma is being delivered instantly, and also accumulations of karma are also being delivered to the best of the best by request and with the consent and active support of guardian angels upstairs. So we know it can be done. And now, can it also be done for the worst of the worst, we think obviously it can be, and the question is, who will do it? And they're talking about Julius Caesar.
Yes, they are.
And how he was a very powerful person of his era, and there was apparently some decision that he needed to be removed from power, and so a large group of people approached him and they all stabbed him, so that none of them were the one who killed him, that they were all together the ones who killed him, and therefore removed him from power. And presumably they're talking about guardian angels converging on the bad tail of the bell curve of karma and delivering accumulated karma to fossil fuel executives and poison industry executives and chemical industry executives and extraction industry executives and pharmaceutical industry executives and airline industry executives and presumably factory farm industry executives and real estate developers, and because that's who's pulling the engine of destruction. The hardest, not that there aren't also other really horrifying things going on, but let's just start with the worst of the worst and then work our way toward the center of the bell curve. Is there anybody who's willing to do that upstairs?
That's a quieting question.
It is quieting. It does seem that that's what's worked in other black holes of corruption, to get the exploiters to let go of that which they're attempting to exploit. They're talking about these two planes that were dropping...
That's what they keep talking about.
Plane parts. It happened a week ago yesterday. 2 planes in 2 different parts of the world dropped plane parts near oil refineries and chemical plants. And when we asked upstairs what's going on with this, they seemed to think that it was a very clear message to humanity that they were supposed to stop with the chemical plants and stop with the oil refineries, because those parts fell in areas where employees of those concerns lived.
Exactly.
And we just don't think that humanity's smart enough to connect the dots, and we think that just whoosh, went right over the heads of humanity. And we could be wrong. Like, if anybody's aware of somebody saying, hey, do you think the plane in the Netherlands and the plane in Colorado, do you think that these are signs from divinity that got us upset and we should stop fossil fuel extraction efforts and we should stop messing with chemicals? Does anybody, like, really write us? Write in a comment if you know of anything like that. Because we're unaware of anything like that. Please may we have a divine plan that's based in reality, that includes no upward flow and a planet of low standards. It's almost as if low standards are the goal.
Exactly, that's that feeling.
So if low standards are the goal, and there's no upward flow, can we have a divine plan based in reality to stop the destruction in a fair and just way, please? And really just something to look forward to, just a date by which karma will begin to be delivered to the worst of the worst. Just a date. And like those who are trying to steal something that doesn't belong to them, and they're doing it blatantly, and they're lying and they know they're lying, and they're cheating and they know they're cheating, stealing and they know they're stealing. Can we have a date when their karma is going to be delivered to them? Because really, if we have less than 4 years to get carbon neutral, and there's still no move toward carbon neutrality at all, like nothing. It's not even part of the conversation. The Overton window hasn't shifted to include that as a part of the mainstream conversation. It's not looking good, right? And so isn't it time to take other actions. Just asking. We know we don't have any legal standing.
No.
And we really get it, that we have absolutely no legal standing and nobody listens to us. And it's very much like being dead.
Yes, that's what someone just said.
Mm-hmm. Once you're dead, you don't have a say. You can't change your mind. Your documents stand. Consider updating your will. Often it's been many years since we updated our wills, and sometimes when we pull them out and read them, it's not at all what we would want to have happen anymore.
That's true.
During our CPA career, we used to advise people to update their wills. If they weren't willing to do it every year, which we understand, then to do it every other year. Because there's always something that's different, and they think, oh, I'll pick it up next time, and then they die. And then their will is not what they wanted it to be, but they don't get to change it. So that's how it is for all of us.
That's true.
We should all have wills. She should have a will. She doesn't have a will. Well, she does have a will because the state of your residence has set your will for you. Everybody has a will, somebody's saying. And it's a default will. And so you might want to check with the laws in the state where you live and see if you're happy with that plan for your situation. And if you are, then you don't need to go through the work of doing a will. But most people say, what? No! And make their own choices.
Someone in that much higher dimension room is talking about a topic that came up earlier today in the channeled work, and it had to do with Enron, the Enron scandal, and Arthur Andersen, which was the CPA company that had been working with Enron. And there was a discussion in that higher dimension room about why Enron fell apart. And someone in that higher dimension room had said Enron fell apart because somebody said something to the authorities. Somebody pointed out that there was embezzlement or corruption. And then someone else in that higher dimension room said that no, Enron actually fell apart because of the embezzlement and the corruption.
Right. If a child is born and there's something wrong with the child, and the child doesn't get help, the life isn't going to turn out well. And if somebody says, hey, there's something wrong with that baby, it's a helpful thing so that the child can get help. I think they're talking about whistleblowing.
That's what they keep talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They keep pointing to whistleblowing.
How essential it is. And one thing that's been helpful to us this last several weeks is this key point that the time between now and collapse is going to pass anyway. It doesn't seem that humanity is going to stop destroying everything, and therefore collapse is definitely coming, and human society is going to be collapsing at humanity's hands. And now how to have that happen in anything but the ugliest possible way, and we're interested in that. And the time's going to pass anyway, and it isn't likely that we're going to be able to change our societies, but the time's going to pass anyway. Is there anything more important you have going on? And why not try to make a difference? And why not try? We'll at least feel better. And when the time comes for us to shuffle off this mortal coil, as is inevitable, it will go better for us than if we haven't done a thing to try to interrupt the destruction. Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah, that was the point they were trying to make.
The time's going to pass anyway. What could possibly be more important? What could be more important? And when we with real curiosity look for something that matters more, we're still not coming up with anything that matters more.